Okay, hey everybody. Happy Monday and happy Marketing Monday. We are back here on Facebook Live to talk to you guys about third-party e-commerce today. Sorry, Nicole, did I jump in there?
No, you're good. You got this.
um, yeah, so just a couple of Small Business Development Center updates from the Watertown Oswego SBDC. We have our safety webinar series going on, but we're going to go ahead and wait until after Thanksgiving to restart that on December 1st. So we'll be back on, and I believe our next webinar is for auto repair businesses. So specific to auto repair, safety guidelines in the workplace for your customers and your staff. So super important topics to cover and to pay attention to. And then we're going to be back on next Monday, right before Thanksgiving, to talk about a very timely topic, right? Small Business Saturday. So buying locally, everything buying locally, and also really on the business side of things to think about how you can really take advantage of this time to offer local products and services to the customers and for gifting and everything. So we'll be talking a lot about that next week in time for Small Business Saturday. And I think that's it for now. And we're just getting going for the holidays, right, Nicole? And starting.
Yeah, we're in holiday mode. I haven't got out my holiday decorations yet, but I still feel like I'm in holiday mode here. And so today, like Erica was saying, we're talking about sort of third-party selling websites, and all that means is websites that are not on your particular domain. So Etsy stores, Amazon stores, that kind of thing. So I'm going to, let's see here, make my slides more visible here. So you probably have seen these third-party websites. There's a lot of them out there. And, there's Facebook Marketplace, Etsy, eBay, Mercari. I mean, there's tons of them. And there are tons of them that are very specific as well. So I just, for fun, just pulled up the clothing ones because I was like, so there is a place you can just sell. Oh, still wait. I meant to change it to wedding dresses. You just sell wedding dresses there. That's the only thing that's built for. So there's all kinds of like gear trade for outdoor gear. And so basically, yes, there's these very large websites like eBay and Etsy and Amazon, but there's also these smaller resale sites that sometimes specialize in a specific kind of thing. So the great thing about third-party websites is that they're relatively easy to set up. So we just had, with the Watertown SBDC this weekend, Build Your Own Website Bootcamp. And one of the people built an Etsy store. And because, and here it is, the Evergreen Shop. So he's got some really awesome, like carved trees, really good sort of winter or just rustic or holiday decor. And so this was relatively easy to set up because the framework was already there. And so Daniel and I had time to talk about like marketing stuff and a lot of other things too. So the main thing with the third-party websites is that they do have already an audience and traffic coming to them. And ideally, people have been using these websites to make purchases before. So they trust the website. They're putting their credit card in or their PayPal information or whatever. And there is that trust there. Because when you first start a website, a lot of the work that you're doing is getting people to go to it, to remember that you have it, that you sell products there. And what's great about these third-party websites is that people already know that. People already know they can go on Amazon and buy things, or they can go on eBay and buy things. So you're not like overcoming that hurdle and trying to make them remember a different URL. The other thing that's great about sort of the third-party websites is that there's a lot of built-in features. And I'll use Etsy as an example here. So part of the weekend, a lot of questions that people have about setting up online stores are about shipping. So we went over kind of how to set up shipping on these different platforms. And Etsy has its own built-in shipping option. And what you can do is when someone places an order and you get the order, you can print the postage right from Etsy. And because they buy a lot of postage, you know, they can give you a bit of a deal. Like you and I can't really get bulk mail rates as just regular people, but Etsy can, and they can pass on those savings to us. And we don't have to figure out how to print a packing slip, how to print the label, and all of that. They've kind of figured that out for you. And as I mentioned, they're relatively easy to set up. So, you know, rather than you're not configuring all the settings for how you're taking payment, you're not doing custom design work. So you can be set up on a lot of these websites in a very short period of time, in a matter of a couple of hours, maybe. But the pros of the website also can be the cons of the website, as are with most things in life, right? First of all, if you're selling multiple places, you have to figure out how you're going to sync your inventory. So one of our participants over the weekend, they have a kind of booth set up at a lot of craft shows that are going to be coming up for the holiday season here, but they're also going to be selling on Etsy. So what they were trying to figure out is, okay, what if I sell something in real life? How do I update it on Etsy? And the reality is that you're probably going to need to figure something out. I did find a program that seemed to do that, but it does cost money. But at the same time, if you don't set up some kind of data feed syncing, you're going to have to go into Etsy after every sale and update your inventory so that you don't accidentally sell two of one item. So yeah, and even if you have your own website and you're also selling on eBay, you have to also figure out a way to sync those things as well. So just generally selling from more than one place, you know, it's just more things to manage. And obviously, if you have a limited supply of something, you don't want to oversell. The other thing with third-party websites is that they can have some limited functionality. So, for example, we talked about in previous broadcasts about abandoned cart emails, right? And how they work well. So some of this, you know, so I don't think Etsy, you can't configure it to send abandoned cart emails. I'm 90% sure that's true. But basically with these third-party websites, they do their thing really well. But if you want to do something extra, it's not really possible because it's their website and you're kind of renting a space on it. And you can't control the shopping experience entirely because of that. If you want it to work differently, if you want your page to look different, that's a pretty big deal. And something I should have included on the cons list is you're also right next to your competition, which is to say, if someone is looking up, you know, I don't know, holiday themed sweaters, they could as easily come across your product listings as they could a competitor's product listings. So, you know, like I said, there's definitely like some things that are really great about being on these websites that already exist, that are already getting traffic, that people already use. But there also is some things that don't necessarily work as well. So that's pretty much what I have to generally say about that. I do have some like pricing and stuff kind of pulled up if we want to talk about it. And we do have some examples of some locals who are selling online too. So yeah, Erica, before we look at like some examples of some local folks, should we talk about anything else? Is there anything that came up as we were talking?
Well, a couple things. And well, first of all, can you remind the audience just what the abandoned shopping cart email is?
Yes.
Everybody knows what it is, but I just want to make sure. Yeah.
Yeah. You probably experienced this as somebody who buys things online, but like, you know, you put something in your online shopping cart, whatever website you're on, and then you go do something else. And then you get an email a little bit later that says, oh, you forgot something in your cart. Come back and finish your purchase. That's an abandoned cart email. It's a email that tells you that you've abandoned your cart. Come back.
Come back. Push the button. Push the buy button.
They work pretty well. So.
Oh, it's worked on me before. That's for sure.
Yeah, me too.
Well, okay, I'll buy that. Yeah. So I would just want to make sure that we had that verified. So. Yeah, and I think the only other thing, and maybe we'll be talking about this as we go, but you know, just thinking about reviews, right, on third party, you know, just like you would with your own shopping cart or your own website or on Google My Business or whatever, you need to pay attention, right, to those reviews that you're getting. And probably try to boost them if you're not getting them, you know.
Right. And that's a really good point, because here's the thing. If you're sending people to your website, you're not really competing against anyone else. Like, it's just your products there. But if someone is looking at, I don't know, eBay, and they're trying to decide whether to buy your thing or someone else's thing, part of how they decide on that is your reviews. Because chances are they probably haven't bought from you before. Most of these people are going to be new people to you. Whereas somebody who's maybe on your website, or you've told have a website, are going to be people who probably already know your business. So yeah, those reviews are extra important on these websites for sure.
Yeah, they can make or break probably, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think we have
too.
Yeah, should we look at a couple of like local examples of like people who are on these sites?
Definitely.
So this is a local author. It sounds like that Erica, who sells her books on Amazon.
Yeah, Sheila lives in my hometown, and we're not in Jefferson. We're in Onondaga County in the Syracuse area, but I knew that Sheila was selling on Amazon, and that she has self-published books. And so I used to be a bookstore owner. So, a lot of authors go this route, especially these days with print on demand, and, the publishing industry is so different than it used to be. But so Sheila, has self-published her books. And the other interesting thing about this is that, she's writing novels that take place in the Adirondacks. So I thought it was kind of cool to see that, it's Amazon, but she's got reviews from like people that are from the Adirondacks or that kind of thing, who are enjoying her book and relating, and really very relatable to them. And so it gives it a little bit more of a local flair, I think. They're saying, oh, she really gets the area, she gets the history, that kind of thing. So even though it's big, huge Amazon, it feels a little bit more, like there's that trust, and that kind of thing. And obviously it makes huge sense for her to try to get those kinds of reviews on Amazon, I would imagine anyway.
Well, and what we have to remember too is sometimes people are on a big website and they run into somebody from us. It's kind of like when you're on vacation, like in New York City, and you're walking down the street, and you like see someone from your hometown or something. There is something about having a presence on these kind of larger websites that people can kind of be pleasantly surprised to run into you, for sure. So yeah, and then you also wait, and this is your daughter, right? This is your daughter's Etsy store that we're looking at here as an example. Yeah, nice.
Yes, definitely. So she is a photographer, and she's mainly a portrait photographer. She does weddings and baby, senior family, but throughout her college, because she did graduate with a photography degree, she's had, work she's done or trips she's taken that she's framed and that kind of thing. So she decided to put those, pictures up on, Etsy. And I do, by the way, I think she's got them on a few of them on Facebook Marketplace too. So, and Nicole and I were talking earlier about the fact that, and Nicole, really great recommendation that, maybe she should think about gift cards because her price point's a bit high if she wanted to start to expand her product line a little bit. And, she could do that if she decides to kind of go this route as far as, offering, her, really photographic products for sale versus the service, kind of end of it. But so yeah, she got herself set up. I don't think it took her long to do this at all. Yeah, pretty simple on Etsy.
Yeah, and I will say too, look, she's got 3 admirers of her work.
Okay.
So here's the other thing too that I think
one of them's probably me.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with a supportive mom. But what I will say too about, let's say that you're not quite sure about selling online and you just kind of want to test an idea. Sometimes these third-party websites are a good way for you to test something in a low-stakes way. So rather than you buying a domain name and getting some kind of hosting plan or buying like Shopify or Squarespace or whatever and setting it all up, this could be a way to just kind of put something out there and see if people respond to it. And if they do, then maybe you decide to maybe she decides to make cards or whatever. But this is just a good way to test. And it's a relatively low cost way for her to do so. I think it's 20 cents per listing on Etsy. So she spent all of like $3, I think, getting this in here. Yeah. And she can see how many people look at stuff. She can see how many people put it in their cart. She can see how many people like her store. so she can get some kind of good data about if she wants to, do a little bit more of this. But she hasn't spent, a long time getting this whole customized store set up. So, and I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I did also want to bring my friend Catherine, who's local here to Potsdam. She does these like cool vintage travel posters. And so she's part of one of the places she sells is on Etsy. She also sells in some local stores and things, but she has like posters and she has custom paintings under $99 and some prints and magnets and that kind of thing. So I think she does a fair bit of business here. But what ended up happening with me is that I needed some art for my co-working space. And I really love these vintage posters, but I wanted, the walls were kind of big. So I wanted something a little bit bigger than what she had on Etsy. So I saw what she had and contacted her and said, hey, can we print something a little bit bigger? How much would you charge me for that? And I totally got some really nice large posters for our space, and people compliment them all the time. So yeah. Now, what's really annoying about these websites though, Erica, is the fact that like you need to know the name of the person or that they have a business to even find them. There's no way for you to go on Amazon and say, oh, who has a Canton-based business? I mean, obviously, if they're on eBay or Amazon, I'm not expecting a storefront, but I would like to buy local online. But these websites kind of make it hard to figure it out.
They do. And yeah, in fact, when I was looking for Elena's, for our time today, I was having a hard time. She actually ended up having to send me the link because for some reason the search just like based on local artist or just local in general does not work well on Etsy. So keep that in mind. And Nicole, we talked about, you had a little bit of a
yeah, I have kind of 2 tips for this. If you are someone who is selling local online, I think that you could do a couple of things. Number 1 is you could make a Google My Business listing. And so I just Googled my own business name to show you what comes up. What it does is it comes up in the sidebar, and one of these things here is a website link. So if you do have an Amazon store or something like that, it doesn't have to be a link to a domain that you own. It's just what link do you want to represent your particular website? So you can, this is free, by the way. You will get calls from people trying to sell you Google ads. Just, you're fine. You're going to get on, and I get people who call yelling at me that my Google business listing is out of date. So if you do get calls like that, just know that I get them too. They're just trying to sell you something. So just make your free business listing on Google, and you can make a Yahoo local listing, and they will sync it'll sync from your Google one. So it's kind of a way of getting kind of 2 for the price of 1 here. So I recommend doing that. And the other thing I recommend doing is, on social media, you only get 1 link, right? They give you 1 link in your profile. And so there are basically these third-party services. Now, you could basically do this on your own website. You could just make a page that had buttons on it. But there's also these third-party services. One of them is called Link in Bio, and or Linktree. One of them is called Linktree. This one's Beacons. It's the same idea. Basically, you can make a 1-page website, and you can put links to kind of your social media, your popular content. You can collect email addresses and things like that. So that's kind of 2 ways to deal with that. I know you have a business, but I can't find your link issue.
Yeah, no, those are great recommendations for that fix, especially if you're thinking about third party only. And I think too, somebody like Elena, my daughter, the photographer who, selling framed picture, photographs is not the main source of her business. She's not going to want to, make the Etsy site her Google link, her 1 Google link, right? So for that, that Linktree idea, or the one that you just showed, is a really great idea for her to get all of her links in 1 spot for sure. But yeah, things to think about as far as, is Etsy going to be the main, do you have products, and is Etsy going to be the or Facebook Marketplace or whatever, what's your main, source to sell? If you use Google My Business to add a link. Yeah.
And the thing we have to remember is these companies make it really easy. And part of them making it easy is that there are some fees associated. So you just want to make sure that you read the fine print. And I'm just going to like put it here. So with Amazon, for example, you have two choices. You basically have a 99 cent per item sold plus selling fees, or you have a 49 or a $40 a month selling fee. Obviously, like one is if you sell more things and one is if you sell less things, but there are certain things you get with the plan. And then you also have your fees calculator here. So it's not quite, and yeah, so besides you paying a listing fee, it seems like Amazon takes a referral percentage of between, it looks like between like 8 and 15%. So like beauty products, 8% of products with total sales of $10 or less, and 50% of items with a total sales price greater than $10. So like you've got to do a little bit of math to kind of figure out if it's an okay deal for you. Or you have to like at least pad your pricing a little bit to be able to cover these fees. And, you know, these fees are no joke. I know that Etsy right now is coming under fire because they're increasing their fees again, and they can be pretty high for some people. The 5% is kind of what people think about, but you know how you see those Etsy ads, like you're somewhere and you see an Etsy ad with products. So if they show your product in an Etsy ad and someone buys a product from your store within 30 days, they're attributing that sale to that ad and they're going to charge you 15% on that.
Wow. Things you don't know.
So I guess whatever you do, just read the fine print. And it's so funny. I have clients who are like, well, I don't want to charge a different price in the store than I do online. And here's the reality. I think a lot of people, it's not that they don't care, but like, I get that part of me being online is it's a convenience type fee. So if it's, I'm not going to go in your store and be like, hey, it's 58 cents more on the internet than it is in your store. You know, like, so just read the fine print and try to cover your costs, because it's not worth like losing money about it, you know? And they do make it easy, and they do drive traffic, and they do have whole web teams that make sure your store is like online and that it's working and all of that. So, you know, it's not like I think we should get anything for free here. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, understand the fees that you're paying, because I mean, they have to make their money too, you know?
Yeah. Nicole, do you think that like Etsy is raising their fees because of shipping and everything that's gone on, you know, post-COVID, everything that's going on? I mean, I watched the 60 Minutes last night. I mean, what's happening with getting product to everybody, you know, for Christmas is just a total nightmare right now. So I don't know if that is, you know, again, but this is the thing, and this is what I wanted to mention next week too, when we're talking about buying locally. It's like such an opportunity for local people, you know, even if you do have to pad because of the shipping's going to be more or something like that, you know, it's such an opportunity to say, hey, I can get product to you, you know, this year, or I can get a gift card to you this year, you know, electronically or something, because I think people are starting to scramble that way and getting worried about, you know, getting all those, you know, Christmas gifts in. So.
Well, and a lot of these online companies have made record profits the past year. So part of me is like, do you need to raise the fees, or are you just seeing what you can get away with? Now, I will say, a lot of competitors are coming on the market. So this is one that I've heard tell of Faire. And what's nice about that is, in addition to sort of being Etsy-like in terms of having like that sort of aesthetic, kind of nice looking home goods and things like that, is that they also do wholesale stuff, and they'll connect you with people who will wholesale your goods. So I think these companies can keep trying to charge higher fees, but like competitors are going to come out and say, you know what, we don't want to settle for that. We want to offer something similar, but at a better price point. So yeah, maybe some of it is the fact that, you know, costs for them are going up a little bit, but part of me is thinking that, did they really go up that much? Because I feel like these companies have been pretty profitable. And I know a lot of these Etsy sellers, they do pay a lot in fees. So, and we saw like just even that Amazon page, you know, they're taking a listing fee and then they're taking a percentage. And then if they do their fulfillment for you, which is, if you see FBA, that's fulfillment by Amazon. So like they have their product in your product in their warehouses and they're sending it for you. They're taking, I think, like 30 or 40%.
Yeah. So I think
so like it starts adding up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think for our purposes today, it's all about watch for those fees, from these third parties, because they may very well be going up. If they're seeing rising prices for, and getting products, that kind of thing,
Well, it's something I'll recommend just for regular people watching, like you don't own a business and you're like, oh, I don't want to do that to somebody. What you can do is I do this on Amazon all the time. I find the seller and then I go to their website and just buy it from them. Because if you buy it from the business owner's website, they get to keep more of that money versus if you buy it from Amazon. And a lot of them do offer better pricing on their own websites. Yeah, it's not free shipping, but if you buy enough product from them, typically they'll.
Yeah. And some people will have that website and some won't, right? So it's always worth the check to see if they're actually selling product on their own website.
Yeah. I check, especially if I see that it's a small business. I always check. It takes me a second, so, but if this is the business's only site, that's totally fine, and the reality is a lot of people kind of start off with something, they might start off with just an Etsy store and then decide, what, I also want to build a website because there's a certain amount of people that just don't have Etsy,
Right. Yeah.
They're like, I don't have an Etsy account and I don't want to make a whole account just to buy this one thing from you. I want to just be able to use a regular online cart with my credit card like I'm used to doing. So
yeah, and I think that especially if somebody is also trying to run a retail brick and mortar store or something, it's a great way to start online, and work your way if you want to ever have your own website shopping cart, online shopping. So yeah, can be a great way to start for sure. So one other thing that I was thinking about was making sure that you're also paying attention, not just to reviews, but also to messages from potential buyers. I've had some experiences on Etsy before where there was maybe a big delay in a response, or I think most of the time it's been fine, but it's also this perception like, oh my God, it's going to be a pain to contact the seller because of the third party situation. And especially during the holiday seasons, you want to make sure you're really being super responsive to people who are thinking about buying from you, or like you said before, you needed a custom order, are you willing to do that? Are you, what are your options that way? And then again, just being super, super responsive so you get those good reviews and everything, I think is really important in third party online.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, when you set up the store, you can set, like, one of the things they say is, like, when will you ship the items? And you can say, I'll ship them within a week of the order. You don't have to be like, oh, I got it at midnight and I'm going to ship it the second I wake up. I don't think there's that expectation. As long as you just tell people what's going on, like, that's all people kind of want to know.
And we're spoiled with Amazon, but even Amazon still says sometimes these days we'll ship within 7 to 14 days, so, it's not necessarily going to keep somebody from ordering from you by any means. So,
yeah, I don't think anything, I think we know nothing's guaranteed at this point. So it's,
yeah,
I think it's,
and I think, people are shopping earlier this year because they're worried, so I think being able to, stipulate that is a really good idea, I think, as far as delivery.
Yeah. And I was just seeing, because the other thing that you can do as well, I just wanted to kind of put this out there as a thing. Where is it? Oh, I was seeing if someone had this set up. So there's something out there called the Facebook product catalog. And if you have a Facebook business page and you're selling anything online, it doesn't have to be, it could be on Etsy or whatever. You can actually pull your products in and people can basically look at your whole store on Facebook, and your products are taggable on Instagram. So if someone's looking at your product on Instagram, they could click on it and go right to where you're selling it, even if it's on a third party type website. So I would say that, like, it's another way to kind of get your stuff more visible without having people go into a third party system. Like maybe they click on eBay and sometimes it's like, oh, do you want to log into eBay? And I'm like, no, I just want to look at this store, but sometimes people see that screen and they think, oh, I need a login to be able to do this. And the reality is, you don't. So it's nice to give them places to browse your products. And it feels like duplication, but a lot of times you can make that product data feed I was talking about. And so when you update it on Etsy or on your website, it will bring
automatically
to Facebook or whatever. So I was just thinking if I could pull up a local example, but like it's not live yet.
That one seems like a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, definitely.
Can be input automatically and control. Your inventory is controlled that way too. That's more marketing promotion on sites, right, where everybody is. So.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
So let's should we check out some questions that we have here? All right. And I do want to remind people too. So I don't know, like I know you guys are planning like you and Liz, because you have a lot of holiday local business type experiences. But if anyone is watching this and you're like, there is this local business that does this really great thing or whatever, you can leave a comment on this video, and that way you guys could mention that in the broadcast.
Yeah, please. Any ideas are welcome.
Yeah. So this is the question that I get a lot about getting, because here's the thing, right? Etsy, Amazon, eBay, Mercari, Facebook Marketplace, they all have traffic, right? But if you, as the business owner, you're like, okay, so I've set this up, like, how do I get the word out that I have an Etsy store or that I have a new Amazon store? And this feels like such a big question. Whenever people ask me, I'm like, oh, I don't know what to say. I don't know, Erica, if you have some thoughts.
Well, what goes through my head, is just it's a bigger general marketing question, or it goes along with any marketing strategy, really, right? Because just making sure that people know wherever they can go, right, to get your products. So whether you have a website, but maybe you don't have an online shopping cart on your website, you're making sure people know on your site that they can go to Etsy with the proper links. We just talked about Facebook and Instagram and being able to tie that in, right, in order for people to get back to really being that place where they can buy, right. But I also anytime you're messaging your potential customers or your existing customers, whether it's an email campaign or anything, I would say that it's appropriate to make sure that it's, an easy link to your shopping cart, no matter where it is. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I think that's good. I mean, here's the thing is, you probably have some kind of following, right? If you're setting up this online store, I'm guessing you didn't wake up and decide, all right, I'm going to start an online store like today. You might have a business and you're thinking about adding your products online. I'm guessing that's what most people watching are thinking. And so like the people who came to the workshop this weekend, they had, I have a Facebook page with 400 people, or I have an Instagram page with 200 people. These people, they're following you. They don't necessarily know that you have an online store. And just because you do one post about it does not mean they will know. So, don't be really annoyed. You don't have to post about it multiple times a day or be annoying about it. But, once a week or so, just kind of remind people on your page, hey, head over here. I sell things online. And, an email list is lovely. I know that it sounds old school. It sounds like I'm coming at you from 1995, but the reality is that, people have email addresses and they love remembering that, oh, right, I really like that business. So I would say send out an email, especially this time of year, a couple of times ahead of when your shipping cutoff is. And I would be very, very conservative about your shipping cutoff, because you do not want to promise a delivery on by a particular day if you can't guarantee it. So, send out a couple of, marketing emails, kind of put it in their mind. Hey, 48 more hours before, we can, make sure you get your gifts by December 24th, for example.
Yeah. And speaking of like next week, again, we're going to be talking about, small business Saturday and that kind of thing. But if you already have a store, you're working on getting it live, like some people did with Nicole this weekend, then think about your posts as far as tying in with Small Business Saturday and your Etsy link or your marketplace link or something, and make sure that you're making it easy for your customers to buy from you and buy locally, or tell their kids, right, or their grandparents that this is a way in which they can buy a gift for them from their favorite store, as an example. And if you do have a brick and mortar store, a retail store, you can also promote that you're on Etsy too in your store.
Yeah.
Just that cross marketing is so important. Yeah, it's about, and the regular posts I think are a great idea around the holiday times, especially. But that cross marketing anywhere and everywhere is just as important as it has always been.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And the other thing too is if you feel a little hesitant, I guess, about putting stuff online, you can at least start the transaction online. And I think people are seeing that. So you said your daughter posted some of her photos on Facebook Marketplace. Has she had any luck or sort of messages about her stuff?
I don't know.
It's okay. Yeah. Didn't mean to put you on the spot there.
I haven't asked her specifics about it. I know she sold some items and that kind of thing. I don't know about like engagement wise, like what she's gotten out of actually having product up there, so.
Yeah. So like, I mean, and I think Facebook Marketplace is kind of the only one I can really think about in particular, but sometimes you can start that conversation online and then you can, meet up for the transaction or have them, send you money via Venmo or give you cash or whatever. So like if the payment thing is part of it. And I did, because I was wondering how this worked, because I do see people, I'm getting some feedback here. I'm just going to mute this for a second. I did notice that people were selling things that were shippable on Facebook. I don't look at Facebook Marketplace because it is like a black hole, and I'm just worried that I'm going to like just look at stuff all day. But it looks like there is a selling fee if you do sell and agree to ship it through Facebook. There is some fees with that. But what I guess I'm thinking is if you're selling, I don't know, your snowblower or something, you're meeting somebody, I don't think those fees necessarily apply. But I do want to mention that there does seem to be some shipping component to Facebook Marketplace. So if you are, sorry, I clicked the wrong thing. Yeah, if you're a Facebook person, just know that that's a thing.
Yeah, and I don't even know this, but it came up when I saw that she had stuff on Marketplace. Is there any difference between just selling as an individual versus selling as a business?
I think so.
Yeah, because it's probably going to go through your business page, and then it might be different as far as fees or how things are set up or what you have to pay attention to guideline-wise. Yeah.
Yeah, and full disclosure, I have not sold anything business-wise on Facebook Marketplace, so I don't have any direct experience with that.
Right. Things to pay attention to, though. If you're
absolutely. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all we got. We have a question that I guess I never answered last week. Because I don't know, I guess we didn't get to it. We were chatty last week. But somebody else, I guess, had asked about their website load time, because I had mentioned that was like important, right? That part of your cart performing well. So if nobody's going to wait 8 seconds for your website to load to put something in the cart. And so people were, I guess, like, how do I know if my website loads slow or not? And so I just wanted to pull up a resource that is prepare for the background of this website. It is a little bit, upsetting is too strong a word, but it is a very bright color. I did not pick it. It is on my website. So this is tools.pingdom.com. And if you want to test, because here's the thing, you go to your website all the time. You go to your website and you look at it all the time. So it loads fast on your computer because your computer has cached it. So if you want to test how fast your site is actually loading, it might be dangerous. I can put in my website URL. Actually, you might want the whole thing. Hold on. And I can pick what location I want to test from. So like I can have it say Washington, D.C. And what it will do is it will run the test and it will tell me how fast my site loads from Washington, D.C. And it will tell me what elements of my site are taking longer to load than others. And this is a completely free tool. I think there is giving me a grade. So my site is loading in 889 milliseconds. And it's giving me some ideas of things I could improve upon. And it's also showing me which things are loading slower on the page. because if you think about it, and then it has it shows every item on your, it used to show every item on your page as it was loading. Like it would show all the everything that was happening.
Yeah, right. Because if you have a lot of images, right, product images on your site, then these are the kind of things you need to know if it's affecting your load time for sure. And Nicole, you and your online resources, I'm telling you.
No, I just like
they're awesome. They're awesome. Yeah.
If you get a spam email from someone that says, "I noticed your website was loading slow," you can actually independently verify that. You do not have to believe that weird person. You know, and
what was that called again?
Tools.pingdom.com. I'll just throw a little thing on the screen here. It's like Kingdom, but Pingdom.
Yeah.
And like I said, you can pick the location where it's testing the server from. Wow, that is a large font. I guess I didn't write a lot of text there, so it made it big.
That's right. Yeah.
And, you know, and there is also, you know, I think the other thing that I mentioned, and I'm just going to try to pull up on the screen really quick, is that I mentioned the website last week being mobile friendly. So your cart being mobile friendly. That's something else you can independently verify. So let me just remember mobile.
That's also big. Yes.
Testing. And the thing is, like, you don't have every kind of cell phone to test it on or whatever, you know. It's not like you have all these devices to test things on. So there are, Google specifically has a test tool. I just Googled, okay, I'm going to use just Google's tool. That's the one I vaguely remember this. So I just Googled mobile friendly testing tool. So I can just go to my, I can run this test. And it will tell me if my page is mobile friendly or not. And I think also give me some recommendations. But there is a lot of, there we go. Retesting? Okay. Well, I just wasn't sure if it was I wasn't sure if it was thinking or if I had to resubmit it. But, but yeah, so I guess what I'm saying about it, okay, so you're going to make me enter it again? Okay, Google, whatever. But essentially, like, anytime, you know, somebody like me says, "Oh, your website should do this," or whatever, you can always independently verify it, which is nice. And it is important that your website, you know, and that's something that the third-party websites take care of. You know, they thought about making the site mobile friendly.
Right. That is another pro for sure, as far as
I guess I'm asking for a lot. Oh, there it goes. It might take a minute or two. Well, I'm glad it told me now, because I was a little bit worried about it. But yeah, so there's some tools out there that will let you know that, like I said, a majority of your audience is probably on a mobile device, and they want the page to load fast. They don't want to sit there on their tiny screen waiting for your site to load. So those are two like little things, and like honestly, sometimes you fix one little thing, and like I had a client and his site, it was like 8. He came to me and was like, he was a new to me client. And his homepage was loading for 8 seconds. It was like, whoa. And we looked, and there was a picture in his slideshow. It was sized correctly, but like they hadn't like reduced the file size. They had just like, I don't know, shoved a 5-pound sausage casing in a 1-pound package. And all we did was we just like compressed it. So it was still the same size, but like the file size wasn't big. And like we shaved like 3 seconds off his load time just with that one change.
Wow, so that's amazing.
There we go. My page is mobile friendly. Well, thank goodness, because if it wasn't, we'd be a little bit worried about me. And
it's also with the mobile friendly piece, it's not just about how fast it takes to load. It's also about how it appears, right?
Yes. Yep, absolutely.
And I think we used to be so used to that broken, you know, like we couldn't see the whole page, but now that really there's no excuse not to have the page, you know, appears the way it needs to, so that it's all there, mobile friendly and easy to look at. Yeah.
Yeah. Google did a really big update, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. And I remember, I don't know, some rumor got out, and it was like, basically, if you didn't have a mobile friendly website, like your website was going to disappear off of Google. So I got a bunch of
canceled.
I got a bunch of panicked emails from clients, and I was like, well, first of all, I've been doing responsive sites for 3 years now. At that point, you're welcome. Like I saw this was coming, and I started just doing the right thing. But the second thing is that what the change really did was, if there was 2 equal websites and one of them was mobile friendly and one of them wasn't, it was just going to rank the mobile friendly one higher, which makes sense. It wasn't like, didn't make
People
anyone
are looking for
disappear
that.
off of Google, but it did make people finally update their websites to mobile friendliness. So
Yeah, well, that's a good thing.
But yeah, but anything else to close out about third-party e-commerce websites here?
I don't think so. I think that was a ton of good information from you as far as the pros and cons and just taking a look at a couple things and considerations. No, I think unless anybody has any questions, yeah.
No, I don't think so. But just don't. If something is overly technical and you're a little bit worried about setting it up, don't let that stop you, because there are these tools, there are these third-party websites that let you set this up relatively quickly. Like I said, just actually read the fine print on this one. I know I submit stuff all the time without reading the fine print, but since this has to do with money, I think you should just read the fine print and just make sure that you understand the fees that you might incur with the sales of these items. So, but yeah, these are really good tools. They're really good tools for people, especially just starting out.
So much online, and if you're still having trouble, feel free also to call your local SBDC office, the Watertown Oswego SBDC, if you're in Jefferson, Lewis, or Oswego counties. They're there to help with free consulting advice. So we always like to remind people of that.
Yep. So we'll just put the little email contact info on the screen there if you want to email, and your services are free and super valuable. Thanks so much, Erica, for all that you and the SBDC do. And we'll see everybody next week for a special holiday edition of Buying Local here on the Marketing Monday broadcast. Take care, everyone.
Okay. Bye, everybody.